Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your golden ticket to success, happiness, and freedom. My name is Maria Kay, and I am thrilled to have with me today Tamara Green. And she's the co-founder of The Living Kitchen, a collective of nutritionists and chefs that specialize in making people feel better and at their absolute best. Tamara was one of the most pickiest eaters, suffering from IBS for very many years. And after shifting her diet, she rid herself of that disease and is now an avid health advocate. And I know because I spent lots of time with her and she's got some great tips. She's also a writer for the Food Network, Slice, and hosts Home Cooking, a cooking show in Toronto, Canada. So Tamara, a huge warm welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, and I'm so excited for you to share with our audience today. And my first question was going to be, what has taken place perhaps in your past that has impacted you in such a way that has molded and shaped who you are today and why you do what you do? So I've touched on that, but could you elaborate a little bit more for us?
Yes, absolutely. You definitely touched on that. So when I was a child, I was an incredibly picky eater. So I mean, the only foods I would eat were hamburgers and hot dogs and chicken fingers and French fries and pizza, and that was it. My poor parents. Anyways, I unfortunately suffered from IBS for many, many years and from serious digestive pain. So I actually would vomit when I was a kid. I would have to run to the bathroom all the time, and I would always complain of a sore stomach. And as time went on, I kind of started to shift my diet. I started to learn more about nutrition, and eventually I remember going off to university and being in this kitchen by myself. I finally had my own kitchen, my own apartment, and I just became really obsessed with cooking and obsessed with using vegetables and new ingredients that I had never experienced before. And simply by shifting my diet to one that was all about eating whole foods, tons of veggies, and really reducing the processed, the fried foods, I actually was able to eliminate my IBS completely, which I was told I probably wouldn't be able to. And I've been symptom-free since 2008, so I haven't had any sort of digestive pain attack or anything like that I used to have all the time. So that was really what shifted it, which was getting IBS and changing my diet completely.
Oh, that's a great story. So for anyone else out there listening today who's suffering from anything perhaps physical, what would you say, how would you give them, what tips would you give them to start going about trying to figure out what to do next?
Yeah, well, I think the thing is when something happens to us, we often look outside of ourselves to try and find the answers. And that's not to say that people don't have answers for us, but it's just to say that sometimes when we listen to our bodies, we listen because we then get to see what's triggering certain issues that are going on. So for me, when I was suffering from IBS, if I had listened more to my body, I would see that after I was eating very specific foods, I was getting these digestive pain attacks. So I would say the first thing to do is always to listen to your body. Figure out what your trigger foods are. And the next thing, the main thing, is really to start incorporating the good foods into your diet. You definitely want to remove the processed and the fried and the refined, but it's a lot easier to do that once you start incorporating the good first, because your cravings for those kind of bad foods actually reduce.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. So for anyone who is maybe sitting watching us today and thinking, well, I don't have time. You know, my life is so busy. I go from work to picking up the kids to doing this and that. I don't have time to be in the kitchen. What would you say to those people?
So I get this question a lot, and especially when I give talks to corporate offices, that's the biggest question. I don't have time, I'm busy, I have a job, I have kids, I have all these things. And not to say that these are excuses by any means. This is absolutely true. We are all just crunched for time. But here's the answer. It's the worst possible answer anyone wants to hear. You have to be prepared. You have to plan. And that's really what it is. It's not easy, and no one's saying it's going to be easy. But if you plan ahead, take little baby steps of planning, you're going to find that you actually have time where you didn't think you had time before. So if you just plan 1 day in advance, 2 days in advance, 3 days in advance, knowing just where at least you're going to eat if you are going to be eating out, making sure that it's at a healthy restaurant, just knowing that you maybe have some ingredients in your fridge to create quick smoothies that you can take with you for breakfast or have snacks throughout the day. It's definitely about managing your time. And the truth is, that's with everything in your life. It's all about managing time and planning ahead in order to be successful. And it's no different with your eating.
I love that you've touched on that, actually, because it's something that I talk about with my students and clients a lot, is just, you know, spend some time getting organized. And I know it's a cliche, but it's a valuable step to take. So what springs to my mind now is, for many women I know, tend to always put, and guys tend to put other people first. So as women, we might put our family first, and I've done it. I've been guilty of it, and I have to be very aware of it, and keep on top of it, that we're quite likely to ensure that everyone else is happy and fed and nourished first, and we will just make do as women. And guys, please forgive us for a moment, but it is, I think more common for us females. Yeah, and what springs to mind is that when I'm working with my clients, that oftentimes we don't feel worthy enough to spend that extra 30 or 60 minutes in the kitchen pre-preparing, or even maybe some extra dollars or pounds in the supermarket or the grocery store to ensure that we do have what we need in our fridge or cupboards, in order to ensure we are getting the nourishment that we deserve. And I find that nourishment that we can get from our food is also very tied into that sense of deservability or not, as it were. So what's your experience, perhaps, with your students and clients around that subject?
Yeah, I think you touched on such a big point, and you're right. It's more so women. It's just that nurturing quality that a lot of women inherently have within them, that they just want to take care of others and put themselves last. So there's a few different thoughts I have on this. Number one, what always comes to mind is when you're flying on an airplane, and they say to you, put your mask on before you put on your child. It's really the same thing, that if you want to help your kids, you have to help yourself first. If you want to help your family, you have to help yourself first. One of the biggest topics of food, giving us the appropriate time, but in order to achieve whatever goals you want to achieve, you have to create time for yourself. It's an absolute must. And I think when I've had a lot of clients who've told me, specifically mothers, that their meals consist of eating the scraps off their kids' plates, whatever they don't eat, which is heartbreaking to me, that whenever that they've just created meals for themselves, even if it's a quick salad that takes them 2 seconds, they feel so much better, not only because they're actually nourishing themselves with good quality food, but because they actually took time to respect themselves enough to have a meal versus eating scraps off someone else's plate. So, like everything that we talk about, and I think nutrition is one of the biggest things, that it's always easier said than done. I understand this. As a nutritionist, I also know that it's sometimes challenging to eat healthy. We have tons of unhealthy food around us all the time that is a lot easier, it's a lot cheaper. But the truth is, it always comes back to how we feel, what our energy is, how respectful we are to ourselves. And that's why we really need to put ourselves first and eat well in order to support everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I love the analogy with the airplane. It's one I use a lot. So, yeah, big high five for that one. I love it. It really does depict the point perfectly. So with regards to maybe someone may be watching now and thinking, well, I need to make some changes in my diet. I want to start waking up in the morning and feel sort of raring to go and full of energy. And I'm not quite sure how to do this, because perhaps in the past they may have associated perhaps not just for purely weight loss, but any kind of health overhaul with lack and restriction and, you know, struggle really. And since, you know, one of our topics for this event is freedom, could you talk a little bit about how the way that you work with your clients actually does almost hand them that golden ticket of freedom as opposed to that lack and restriction?
Absolutely. This is a great point. I was actually just talking about this with someone yesterday, how the conception of diet is always about struggle and restriction. And it never leads to long-term goals. It only leads to short-term goals. Because anytime that you're on some sort of restrictive, terribly restrictive diet, usually for the purpose of weight loss, that's when you do lose weight, and then immediately you gain it back afterwards, right? So I think when people say, I just want to get healthy, I just want to do something, sometimes it's actually best to work in baby steps, because when you want to do a complete overhaul all at once, that sometimes, depending on who you are, can lead to failure, because you are really trying to change everything at once. And when people fail as human beings, we've all had failure in our lives, you feel so unsuccessful, you are sensitive, you're hurt, and then you just say screw it, and you don't want to do any of it. So my recommendation is always to work in baby steps, work slowly, depending on what pace you can take, and then start adding in more things. So the first thing that I always recommend is a very, very tangible change is actually around water. Most of us are not drinking enough water throughout the day. Ideally, we want to get anywhere from 6 to 8 glasses, which is 8 ounces, 250 milliliters of water a day. And one of the best things that you can do is really simple, and it's just squeeze some lemon in some water and drink that the very, very, very first thing in the morning. You will notice that as soon as you drink lemon water, your circulation is going to go up. You'll probably have to go to the bathroom pretty immediately afterwards, and you'll shockingly feel quite energized, often more energizing than caffeine. So, baby steps. Water.
I can vouch for that one. I can really vouch for that one. Yeah, it's like almost like being plugged into the wall socket, isn't it? In the morning.
Yeah, it's like an intravenous or something. It's that intense.
So if you're listening and watching, do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it. Exactly.
You will have miraculous results in your day.
Definitely. You definitely will. Yeah. So like I said, so taking baby steps. So my first thing is always water. My second thing is leafy greens. So where can you add leafy greens into your diet? Can you eat them in a salad? Does a salad work with your schedule? Would a smoothie work better? Would a green juice work better? It's really just looking at your life, looking at your schedule, looking at your time, and seeing what fits in, and slowly integrating more healthy foods in there.
So, I mean, you mentioned green drinks and green and everything, and I know a lot of people will be sitting there thinking, but that's just gross and disgusting. You know, do I really have to sacrifice the things that I love to feel amazing? You know, so, and I know that this is something that will come up for people. It's, you know, it's a really prominent question, and it will be a big but for people.
Yeah.
What can you say to them?
Yeah, I think, okay, so in terms of sacrificing the things you love, it's more about eating really well on a day-to-day basis. And if you can eat really well on a day-to-day basis, you can supply your cells, your tissues, your blood with nourishing food, then you don't necessarily have to give up on the foods that you love. Another thing that I like to say to clients is that when you start eating a certain way, you won't crave those types of foods anymore. And if you do crave those foods, the first thing to do is, instead of going out to get them, actually make them yourself. Because by making them yourself, you're probably using better quality ingredients, you're not using as much oil, you may not be using the same types of sugars. So that's one way to still get what you want without necessarily needing to be incredibly restrictive.
That's lovely. Do you have a daily practice, Tamara? Is there something that you can share with our audience today to just give them a bit of an insight as to how you stay so, healthy and vibrant and glowing?
Sure. So I have a few daily practices, and sometimes they change, sometimes they go away, sometimes I bring them back. Nothing is always totally consistent. So one of the things that's a daily practice for me is drinking a ton of water. Another thing is that I absolutely have to have a minimum of 1 serving of greens throughout the day. Oh, right, you asked me about greens. I can go back to that in a moment. And then another thing that I've actually been doing lately, and this kind of ties in more not just with food, this is with everything, is I've been having I've been partaking in a gratitude experiment. So basically, I've just been writing 10 things that I'm grateful for each day and why, and just reading them out loud afterwards, and that has been a really, really unique daily practice that I've only been doing for about 2 weeks now, but it's been pretty phenomenal. Yeah.
And you're not the only expert that has been talking about a gratitude practice, and I think it's where the buzz is at the moment, and it's such a powerful practice. So if you guys are hearing it again out there, then and you're not already practicing in that way, give it a try. I think, and you can start with a couple of things each day. It doesn't have to be a really long list. Yeah. So Tamara, if you had to pick one passionate message to share with our audience today, what would it be?
The message would be, love your food. And I think there's so many reasons why we need to love the food that we're eating. And this can mean loving healthy food as well. And there's a few reasons for it. I think the first reason is, did you ever read about the Dr. Emoto experiments?
Absolutely.
With water?
Love it. Yeah, I love it.
So I don't know for sure. I've never done the experiment myself. However, basically what it is that this Dr. Emoto had different water, and to one glass of water he would say beautiful things like, I love you, you're beautiful, I love this water. And then to the next water he would say things maybe like, I hate you, you're bad, you're terrible. And he would then look at the actual molecular structure of cells. Oh, did we lose connection for a second?
I think we did. We're back.
Okay.
The joy of technology. We love it.
The joys of technology.
Yeah. I mean, we're connecting UK to Canada. What more can we ask for? We've got to be patient.
It's okay if there's one break in
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, basically I was just saying that you have to love your food. I think that loving your food not only increases the vibration of the food itself that you're eating, but it also will enhance the way you digest and metabolize your food, the way the nutrients are properly absorbed into your body. This all changes when you actually love what you're eating, when you're eating it not in guilt and not in hate, but just in pure gratitude and love.
I love that. So in essence, and this is something again that I bring in with my clients and students, in essence we're really going back to basics and sitting in quietness perhaps before each meal. And whereas years ago it might have been a prayer of a religious kind, but perhaps bringing in a prayer of a unique to you kind of type of situation, and yeah, connecting, being grateful, and appreciating. And I also love how you touched on, and this is something I do as well, and I say this: if you want to eat it, but only go there if you've really sat for a moment and addressed why you need it, why you want to eat it, you know. And because there are times when nothing else will do other than the chocolate bar. Nothing else will do. And it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to be in this moment and enjoy the heck out of this chocolate bar. And nothing else in the world exists or matters right now other than the relationship I'm having with this, you know, delicious chocolate bar. And that, you know, that's, for me, it's just bringing that sort of spirituality, that sacredness into that relationship that I'm having in that moment with that moment, whatever it might be.
Oh yes, oh yes, that is a huge, amazing point.
Yeah.
Which is,
and I say, you know, to make peace with it, peace with it, but make the decision from a place of empowerment rather than disempowerment.
Yeah. And that's why the message of eating everything with love really translates to all of that, because if you are eating something that might not necessarily fit into the category of healthy, when you categorize it as bad, it becomes bad. But if you are eating it and you're just saying, you know what, I'm eating this in pure love, joy, gratitude, I am so thankful about how delicious this is, then it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's like me and feta cheese. I don't eat much dairy, but now and again I will give myself permission. But it's only when I'm really, you know, it's not about craving. It's about, you know what, I just really want to be in that, you know, that space of enjoying the flavors, and it takes me back to my childhood, and, you know, and often people tomorrow will ask me, so what are you? Because, you know, when you work with people and, you know, you teach and you are almost at the forefront of, you know, a crowd, a group, an audience, people often ask me, and I'm sure you get the same, what are you? You know, and then what they mean is, are you a vegetarian? Are you a vegan? Are you gluten-free? Are you this? Are you that? And there are a lot of things that I am low, so I am low gluten, I am, you know, low dairy, but I never go as far as, and perhaps that stems from my days of being in a space of having eating disorders and being quite severe in that space of not being healthy in my, you know, connection, mind, body, soul connection with food and my body. But I often turn around and say, I don't have a label. What I am is present and connected in each and every moment to what my soul is desiring and asking for. So if I don't eat meat. Okay, I don't tend to eat red meat. However, and it was so funny, I ran a workshop, it was a retreat a few months ago, and I just finished giving a talk, talking, you know, about honoring what your body needs, and, you know, similar to what we've touched on today. And then we all went to lunch together, and it was a buffet style, and I'm just saying, and I rarely eat red meat, but out came these delicious homemade hamburgers. And I said, I didn't plan it this way, but right now I'm actually going to be walking my talk, because I don't eat red meat, but that hamburger needed to be in my mouth. Right? So that was me honoring what my, you know, and it wasn't to do with a chemical craving or anything. It was just that I needed to have it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. And, you know, one of the things that we tell our clients, because we accommodate to people who are gluten-free and dairy-free and vegetarian and vegan, because we provide a meal delivery and a private chef service here in Toronto. So we know people who are under those categories and accommodate to it. But, of course, we always get asked, what are you? And I like to just say, I just eat what my body tells me to. Because having that label allows me room to say, when I feel like eating vegan, I eat vegan. When I feel like eating red meat, like you, I eat red meat. When I want to be a vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian. When I want to be a flexitarian that eats everything, I do.
I love that word. I'm going to steal it. Flexitarian. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. And again, I think it's coming away from that rigidity that takes away whether we're on actually a diet, a weight loss diet, or any kind of, maybe a weight increase diet, because for different people it's a different focus, but it's about the freedom, the lack of freedom that comes with a label, and I think that's what I love about the work that you guys do, that you have made nourishing, one's body into a fun game, and achievable and doable, and really, really great work.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we love what we do. So
for our viewers who are in Canada, obviously they can come and find you. How can our audience who are, say, we've got, an audience from across the world with us today, how can they connect with you, and what do you offer for them?
Absolutely. So we offer a few different things for our clients that are abroad and not local to where we are, which is we actually offer online classes as well as ebooks. And our online classes are all about detoxing the body in a very healthy, natural, non-restrictive way. So we take people through 30 days of menu plans, of different ways of thinking about the body, of different exercises to do. We have that one. We work with people who are gluten-free. We have a sugar detox one, which is just about kind of removing sugar to see how your body operates when you're not eating tons of refined grains or even tons of natural sweeteners. So you can go to our website, livingkitchenwellness.com, and we have a ton of information there and tons of great recipes on our blog as well.
Oh, fantastic. So I know that you have a free gift for our audience today.
Yes.
I'm excited. Tell us all about it.
So the free gift is a little ebook called 7 Days of Green Smoothies. And I think smoothies are a fantastic way to bring a lot of nutrition into your diet in a very compact way. So you can throw tons of different things into a blender. You can have it for breakfast, for snacks, throughout the day, whatever you want. And people often make the same smoothie over and over again, get really bored with it, or aren't sure how to kind of make sure those ratios are right in order for it to taste great. Mm-hmm. So here we're providing a great ebook that gives you how to make delicious smoothies that will support your body and boost your health.
Awesome. That's a valuable gift, because as a smoothie drinker myself, if you're having it on a daily basis, there's got to be some variety there. And I have to say, when I first set out on this journey of, ensuring that was something part of my daily practice, I came up with some funky green smoothies that, and I'm just like, really? So that, guys, go and grab that, because that will really aid your smoothie journey.
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely. Wonderful. No, we've all been there where we've just mixed the wrong ingredients and you're like, oh my God, this tastes so bad. Do I really have to drink the whole cup?
Yeah. I mean, too much kale is a big no-no, right?
That's always a big issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we come to the end of our session today, what final nugget of wisdom would you like to share with our audience?
That is a good question. I think I left a lot of nuggets of wisdom, hopefully, already. I think I'll go back to my very initial and beginning point, which was listen to your body, because we all know what's best for us. We can all feel our body better than anyone else. So just listen up, keep your ears open, your eyes open, your digestive system's open, see what's going on, and respond accordingly.
I think that's a great way to end today. Tamara, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of our audience as well, because I know that, as you said, there are uncountable nuggets of wisdom there. So I'm wishing you guys a blissful rest of your day, and tomorrow the same to you, my darling.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. Mwah.